Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Um, Welcome back, Soul Tribe. So, today I wanted to just share a little bit about what we've been experiencing, or I've been experiencing, since this is a co creative experience. And a lot of the downloads and messages that I receive come from my own experiences in life and how I see it showing up for all of us, really, collectively, as I work with clients, as I work with the people that resonate with where and what it is that we're working with. And so I had this experience, and it was just this weekend that was so amazing. I had a meeting on Friday that was scheduled, and I show up for the meeting, and my friend she was in labor when I got to the meeting, and you know, she was having this home birth and this whole thing. So she had a doula and she had a midwife. And it just so happens that the universe aligned for me to be there. And it was an experience that I was able to have, and I was able to assist, and I was able to be present. And I had to trust in my intuition, trust in my gut, and kind of help her through that part of it. And the circumstances or the situation just guided me to stay there and be present with her. And it was a beautiful co-creative experience. And so I got to experience seeing life come into the earth through the portal that we call the yoni, or the womb, or the vagina, whichever name you would like to call it, but that's what happened. But it made me really reflect, because 6 months prior to that, my cousin had passed, and she had passed away in my home, and I tried to revive her. And so I had felt what it felt like to have death in your hands, right? But it was really her passing into, spirit realm. So it's almost like it all just came full circle, and there was something ignited, or that came activated inside of me, where being able to have those two experiences brought me into such a place of love, but also made me really truly hone into and reflect at how everything unfolds in a certain way to bring you into a certain place within your life. And that being said, it's important to learn to trust in our intuition. And I'm speaking more to the creative collective at this time. And by creative, I truly believe that we are all the artists of our lives. There's always things happening for us, and ways that we can co-create with the universe to allow these things to unfold in our lives. But oftentimes we don't trust in what is unfolding, because we don't know what lays on the other side of that. And so with that comes fear, and with fear comes resistance or self-sabotage and all these different things. So I say that to say this: it's important to trust in the way that the universe speaks to you, and trust in your gift, in your medicine. And I'm speaking to those of you who are misfits, rebels, who are healers, who have experienced high levels of traumas, and now find that what once you considered your curse is now your gift, right? But what is the work that we need to do to be able to show up in our most authentic selves, to show up as we are in the world, right? Understanding that none of us are perfect, and that there's many different gifts that we have that lie dormant within us, right? So that being said, first card that came out for us here, we're going to go straight into it. Speaking of co-creation and the human experience and being present, like really tapping into passion and purpose and creating with intention here. So I don't know if you guys can see this card here. It's a beautiful card. And the hummingbird is a sign of like the heart and of love and of being present. But there's something so huge about being able to find stillness within our practices, to actually listen to our hearts. And messages that I've been receiving for like maybe like 3 weeks now and really diving deep into has a lot to do with, are we truly listening to our hearts? Are we allowing ourselves to lean into what we're passionate about, to lean into what we desire? Are we allowing our creativity and imaginations and ideas, dreams to come to life? Or are we limiting ourselves, right? Are we limiting ourselves to the ideas and concepts and beliefs that are all around us all the time, right? Because we live in this fast-paced world, and there's so many things that we think that we need to do or be like or sound like or look like. You know, are you leaning into what your heart is truly trying to say, right? And your intuition. Are you allowing yourself to be inspired by love, or are you allowing yourself to be inspired by fear and holding yourself back from showing up authentically and speaking your truth and being present for each and every moment? It's oftentimes the small nuances, the small details that really allow us to show up differently in the world. It's those things that we overlook, like stopping to smell the flowers or helping a little girl cross the street. That being said, let's shuffle these cards. I almost feel like the reading was just done just with that. I feel very passionate about the heart space and the human experience that we have here. I feel like so many of us are really showing up at maybe like 75% of who we really are. And like, do we even know who we really are? Have you truly allowed yourself to explore past the boxes and the ideas of who you're supposed to be? Like, who were you before they told you who you should be? And this speaks loudly to the creativity, right? Because oftentimes our purpose reveals itself through our passions, and healing is not linear, right? It's not linear. So at some point you're working through one part of your journey, and at another point you're working through another part, you know? You can be highly developed in one area of your life and then completely avoid the areas where you feel that you lack the most, simply because you're afraid of looking like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Unity. Speaking of which, unity, right? The human experience speaks so much to unity. Oftentimes we're on the journey of like healing and following our intuition and bringing our art to life and all of these different processes that come along on the healing journey, and we tend to like completely shut everyone out, given it is necessary on the journey. But I find often, like in this time right now, we take it to an extreme. We take it to an extreme and we forget that everyone is going through something. So can you open your heart to love and to see the people that are around you as brothers and sisters, and can you allow yourself to hold them in compassion in the same way that you're holding yourself in compassion? Or are you holding yourself in compassion? Are you allowing yourself to have patience with yourself? There's something so profound that happens when we begin to bring down the walls that we've built around our hearts because of our unresolved wounds or traumas or experiences, and actually allow ourselves to authentically connect as we're showing up as we are. It makes such a huge difference, not only in your life, but in their life and in the world, right? Because that changes the frequency. It elevates the vibration of the earth itself, right? And the earth, are we connecting to the elements and to the world, right? Nature has so much to offer us, and we so oftentimes simply overlook it. I mean, our healing is very much so like nature if we look at the rhythm and if we pay attention, right? We're changing with the season. We have spring cleaning, like all these different parts of the patterns and rhythms of the earth are very similar to how we move and how we show up. Oftentimes we lose that rhythm, right? Especially when we're not connected to our heart space anymore. When we've desensitized ourselves so much so that we're just letting life live us instead of living life for each and every moment, we tend to forget. We forget to connect to the heart space, to connect with others, to connect with ourselves. And in forgetting to do so, we also are just existing rather than co-creating with the universe. And I think that's what the unity part is about, right? Co-creation is such a huge part of life, and society has made it so that everyone is doing their own thing and there's so much separation. Success is supposed to look like you have a house, you have a car, but like, does that make you happy? And like, what is success? And when you achieve success, do you have someone to share it with? I mean, they're just simple questions. But when we're disconnected from ourselves, meaning from our hearts, we tend to not know which direction we're supposed to be going in. We tend to find confusion. But when you connect with your heart, you know instantly when you're betraying yourself. There's something that doesn't feel right. There's something that feels off. I feel like I'm channeling more than I'm shuffling. Okay, I'll take that. Alchemy. I'm going to keep this short and sweet for you guys. So we have time. Time. Healing takes time. Learning to listen to your heart takes time. Learning to open up and bring down those walls takes time. Learning to be present and show up as you are takes time. But also creating the lifestyle and the world that we want takes time as well. When you're creating something, when you're making art, when you are getting to know someone, when you are dealing with love, it takes time. It takes time to learn how to feel safe again. It takes time to learn how to see your own worth. It takes time to recreate and unlearn things. Unlearn the way you thought your life was supposed to be. It takes time to tear down all those expectations that you have about what your life should look like and to start over again. It takes time to work past the fear. It takes time. It's almost like we're going through a consistent rebirth, like over and over again collectively. And a lot of what I've been receiving, talk about alchemy here, is more of like this masculine energy, right? It's creativity within the masculine energy. And that creativity within that masculine energy is beginning to change, because for so long we have these structures, more so throughout society, where it speaks more to the patriarch, if you will. It's like the logical part, okay, I'm not going to dive into my passion and my purpose because it makes no logical sense. The numbers don't add up. This doesn't look like something that can support me on the long run. And we limit ourselves. We limit that idea of creation. But as a collective, the masculine, the divine masculine is rising. And that divine masculine really requires us to learn how to lead from the heart. There's so many things that we do in life on a day-to-day basis that have no heart in it. And given there are some things that maybe we should function and work that way, but what I'm truly getting at is that in order for us to start living a life that truly is fulfilling to us, we need to learn how to lead from the heart and how to create with intention. And that is not always going to make sense, right? Diving into the unknown and going on your healing journey is so much, it has so much to do with trust and not knowing what's on the other side. right? It has so much to do with unlearning and risking everything you've known to be true and leaving it in the past. Or acknowledging that the way that you've been moving is not the way that you want to move anymore. It's no longer serving you. I almost feel like a broken recorder because it's like the same patterns and cycles over and over again in different parts and forms of ourselves. It's like, what are you trying to create for yourself? What does true success look like for you? Where does your happiness stem from? It stems from unity. And I think we are choosing as a collective, as a society, to really overlook this. Even in the ways that we are allowing ourselves to connect with each other has so much to do with, again, what it's supposed to look like. But we're all on different journeys and we're all here for different purposes. And there's different things that inspire us. And I think when we are in co-creation and healing with each other, through each other, as we are all reflections of each other, we really need to learn how to make space and make room to honor each other's processes while we're on that journey. That's a different type of love, right? Relationships are stepping into a place where it takes us a different level of communication, right? Now we are evolving, so now we have more people who are doing this inner work, but we're not really communicating with each other, or we don't know how to communicate with each other so that we can go into the spaces and break the societal patterns. So there's this thing happening in your own healing work, in your own relationships on a personal level. But that what's happening to you on a personal level is now evolving into your everyday interactions with strangers, with work, with school, with what you want to do with your life. And again, it's not a new age conversation. It's been happening for some time, but it's really just now starting to come up to the surface. It's like more and more, even just men, physical men, not energetically, are showing up because they also feel a sense of disconnect. But that sense of disconnect is not just within the men, it's also within the women, because this is about masculine energy, right? Within all of us, we all have masculine and feminine energy. And when they're not balanced with each other and they're at war with each other because there's no trust or foundation, they cannot create or co-create, right? And there's a lack of trust there. And I truly believe that comes from not knowing how to honor the divine masculine energy and vice versa. There's something about allowing the feminine to lead that really makes us uncomfortable. When we're allowing the feminine to lead, we're allowing our creativity to take lead, to take the front line, to move us forward, to feed us the dream, to nurture our souls. And I think it's something that it's not looked too often as something that is held to a high standard. I think it's something that's sacred and that should be valued in a way that we do, as a society, that we don't right now. Even within ourselves, in our own relationships with ourselves, we don't tend to value our creativity as we should. And so my message in conclusion is to the creative collective and to those of you who are searching for what is your gift or what is your purpose or how is it that you should be showing up in the world, is allow yourself to be inspired, allow yourself to dream bigger, allow yourself to show up as you are, allow yourself to come into the world and look at everything from a child's perspective and explore yourself. I mean, who cares? Okay, currently you don't know who you are. Fine. What an amazing opportunity that is to grow. What an amazing thing it is to be able to recreate your entire world all over again. Given, yes, there are some things you're going to have to tear down, but we don't need it anymore. And it's just time to just let it go, right? And the full moon is a time of release and a time of making space for things, right? So the ending of one thing is the beginning of another. You'll hear me say that a lot. The ending of one thing is the beginning of another. So what are your limiting beliefs or your self-sabotaging behaviors that are not allowing you to move forward, to create the life that you really want for yourself, that's truly fulfilling from your heart? What are the connections that you allow to stay and take up space in your life that are not serving the higher purpose of authentically connecting and authentically showing up for yourself? Can you let those things go? What are they rooted in? And again, awareness without action is bullshit, right? Awareness without action is bullshit. So yes, this is a soul activation reading, and this is a reading. And oftentimes I stay away from the storylines of like love and he did this or she did that, right? I like to take it a step further and get to the root of the cause, because what you want to do is integrate this experience and now ask yourself, what are the actions that you are going to take so that you can take accountability and responsibility to move forward and create change in your life and propel that and nurture that and feed that, right? Well, I hope all these messages serve you well and for your highest good and your highest heart. I love you very much.